Um, Today's Wednesday, um, September 7th, 2022. I'm looking at this on this. Um, and the CBS this morning had on, I think it's E178. Significant, I'd say. It's they claim it's their 1 year anniversary. I have no idea what that means. Um, it just seems like a lot longer than a year, but here we are. They had on as their musician, and this is the New York reference of Bridge. I don't know which one that is. Maybe that's Brooklyn Bridge. I think that's one of the one. I think that's the one my grandfather helped build. Um, in this area. So, like brick by brick, like stonemason from the old country with passage back and forth in the allowable labor union of the time. Um, and that was like 1800s, I think. So anyhow, long history here between going back and forth between the family, mi familia. Um, and that's on the Cattaruzza side. So I went to, so anyway, so on here, I mean, this, as of late, like there was this thing called alternative rock, grunge music when I was growing up on the radio. Then there was something called hip hop. Then again, I'm thinking, where did they come with hip hop? And I'm like, oh, is that a gunslinger's term in this arms race? Again, if I'm thinking cowboys in the Old West, hip hop, like, like be on the ready, boys, like that kind of thing. Like one can theoretically go down that line, I suppose. Um, I'm just sitting IHOP on this one. Again, I like the consistent tempo and beat. Um, Personally, I like the repetitive nature and the of like the metrodome when you're trying to find tempo and beat. I don't like the erratic, out of order and out of synchronicity music. It really irritates and grates on my nerves. Um, so that's why I like hip hop. Not all of it, because some of the words that come out, it is like, oh, I can turn that off in dwarves. Um, and then as an elf, and then there's this other genre of music called country music. Now, I come from a holy cow. In constellations, I have with a king's star as a king's princess. And that's a cosmic star relation. My mother being a Taurus, a bull, so they say, a cow, whatever. She's a holy cow. That was big in the 80s with The Simpsons for some reason. Um, and then, but this is like other religious times and books and whatever. Um, Not a very Christian thing to say, but here we are. They've totally like wrecked the image of Madonna with some pop blowing a popsicle stand or an opening a taco stand of some sort. I don't know. It's really frightening when I analyze exactly where in 43 years the pendulum has swung or the trajectory has in quark if I'm filling electronic shells and measuring atomic weights of things. Um, so they put on this guy, Jon Pardi, Pardi. It's a different way to spell party. It's not Party. He wears a cowboy's hat. Now I know it's a Rangers thing, I think. So, and he was on for the 1 year anniversary. I personally, the only other cowboy I ever heard was, or self-proclaimed cowboy, I don't really know, speaking Ihop, and again, Thor, God of Love and Thunder, just recently on like a July 8th, can't forget that date since that's my 78. So he came out with pan flaps instead of pancakes just to stay up with the trendy kids of Hollywood, the establishment, and whatever Thanes and the Woodlands are doing with the dwarves. And I, just being an elf and at times have this like hobbit ability, I trepidatiously like walk on water at times like a mosquito, I suppose. So I'm listening to this, and there's this um, Jon Pardi reference. I'm like, now, I was at a New Year's Eve party once. Hoffman was there with his wife. First time a Christian Hoffman arrived, although I did know another Hoffman in a St. Dominic's, whatever. But anyhow, the most recent problem dwarf, Teofrio, brought about, he found some Christian Hoffman. So, anyhow, he brought him around with his wife. They invited us out to, I think, the Nutty Irishman. I can't remember. It was somewhere in Babylon, West Babylon, some town that I really like in Suffolk, just not a place I hang out in because, again, there was alcohol there. It was a New Year's Eve thing. That's pretty much socially acceptable in these parts. And they commandeered the radio. There was no hippity hop. It was cowboy music. And I was listening with an open ear and heart to what they put on. Apparently, they put on Dirt on My Boots, which I instantaneously gravitated to because that's how I felt the man that I joined the gathering with was in relation in dwarf terms from an elf who has nobody else to be honest with these things about except a bartender at some like weird thing where the dwarf brought me to Manhattan for some Sunday whatever, and the elf behind the bar was serving mojitos, which I had never have. And if that was supposed to be a dry event, then why are you bartending and why am I here? You know I'm an elf. I don't know if my ears were revealed, but I was fully clothed. And the dwarf brought me there because somebody booked an appointment, apparently, in however my holiday schedule is getting put together. Um, in this section of This Isn't My First Rodeo, but in the moment, these historically accurate meetings of significance for which I am not prepared. Anyhow, so I thought that interesting that they would have this cowboy on today on the 1 year anniversary. I'm like, haven't they been on the air for more than 1 year? These three? I mean, it feels like forever, but whatever on that. I don't know if it was it wasn't the carriage house. It was a different place in West Babylon. Um, there were a whole lot of people there, nobody that I recognized. Except for this Christian Hoffman, not the one that I went to school with, some other whatever. Um, I, again, and so I'm thinking how this is relatable in Signs from the Great Beyond, in whatever I'm going through at the moment. This morning, the teacher, I dropped off all the school supplies at my son's school. I actually went to the room. All of the teachers were there. I said, I heard this is the place to be if one's entering 5th grade. They were like, come on in. She asked if I was Greek. My first intonation is normally no, but then there's the hella reference. I mean, really, it's Scandinavian. I said Central Eastern European. Like, again, I'm really not quite sure. So I prefaced it. She said Greek. I'm like, well, technically, my dad's Northern Italian. But again, I haven't really got an official word on whatever's going on. Janvier being Janvier. He's Aquarius, so Mimosa, actually, the aquatic man in the movie, um, the famous guy, he just cut his hair or his locks off. Turns out, Linda, I came home from whatever I do during the day, and when I have to leave her home alone, and she cut all my son's hair off, getting ready for the first day of school. Janvier, or Louis, is on the kick of he's going to be a doctor, Nicole. So he has to cut his hair to look the part. He's an elf, either way. So, an elf surrounded by dwarves. Um, so here we are, and that's what's going on in this neck of the woods, even though I'm stuck in Metro City at the moment. Or New York City, whatever. So this is what, oh, and in the mail, I'm not going to actually show, there's a pin. There's actually one came for Janvier, the other came for the Holy Cow that I arrived through. And it's some form of symbolic gesture. It's a square pin. It arrived through the U.S. Post in some wounded warrior fashion that the locals are giving pins. I don't know if they will wear these out, but for me, I will hold on to them if they do not want to wear them out, because I know what these symbolize in a kind of sort of, but whatever way. However, the Post is working at the moment. So Jon Pardi was up there. I had never heard of him before. The only song I really know and really, really like immediately was Dirt on My Boots. I mean, like, there's some phrases in that cowboy song just as apropos and spot on as Garth Brooks in his only famous song ever to hit the New York airwaves that I've ever heard of, which is still I've Got Friends in Low Places. That's for the dwarves. Although it's not really feeling like a very friendly place amongst dwarves at this point, when I'm just an elf trying to get to my elf whatever for my constellation purposes. I don't want to be stuck with a dwarf tailing me. I mean, like, pin the tail on the crazy donkey. He's from 1976. Why did I get a second set of POS dwarf? I mean, talk about like a really unfair time spent on Earth as a king's princess. Jesus. Je suis. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxies broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. I don't know if this really is their 1 year anniversary. I don't know. I don't have a calendar date of when these three morning cohorts got together and started this, but it really looks like they celebrated at Nate's house. I don't know what that's about. They left an empty plate at his table. He doesn't really live in New York. He just works in New York on this morning show and then goes to wherever the heck they gathered. No idea. I mean, again, this is what they put on the morning television to the public. John Dickerson, I heard, by the way, talk about family trees in the woodlands. He's just got his own show, they're saying. I did not know that his family was big in the CBS in broadcasting in New York, like, ever. Again, I don't follow such things. I'm in a birdcage of sorts still. So, Anyhow, so that's what was on E178 in this area, in this whatever this is.